Something that, and I said this in my video the other day when we were talking about who's the more ready of the, Big 8, Big 12, Red River teams to go into the SEC. And I said it then, and I'm talking about it now. You're talking about schools like, MES said this just a second ago. You've got a lot of coaching turnover. And for as great as everybody thinks that Mizzou is supposed to be, here they are. They lose their defensive staff essentially to LSU. But they want to sit there and act like they are on the same level as Oklahoma. It's never been that way. It's never going to be that way. There will never be a time that I could ever tell you that I'm going to pick Missouri to beat OU. Anytime, ever, 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 ever. And the same would be said for Arkansas. The same would be said for Ole Miss. The same would be said for Mississippi State. In Tennessee, any of these schools that expect that they're just going to walk all over this, Big 12 team, Oklahoma, they're out of their freaking mind.
Well, you look at what Texas did to Alabama in Tuscaloosa, right? And we've even said it. Cutz mentioned it earlier. This was probably Nick Saban's most impressive coaching job. And I'm going to say this. This is going to be a little bit of a controversial take on my thoughts on why Nick Saban retired. I don't think he had any fear of the NIL or transfer portal. I don't think it had anything to do with that. Outside of the personal stuff he mentioned in there, I think there was one other big reason why Nick Saban decided, you know what? I don't think I can do this no more at 72 years old. Retraining assistant coaches, right? That's Kevin Steele retires, and he's like, dude, I've gone through so many coaches. And at a certain point, that's exhausting. Think about it. That's what makes Saban so great. He's been going through so many coaches every single year. Mm-hmm. Every 2 years, he had a new offensive coordinator, at least. Like, I think only one coach lasted 3 years at offensive coordinator, and that was his first 3 years starting here at Alabama. But outside of that, every 2 years. But as soon as Kirby Smart left, which Kirby Smart was his defensive coordinator for 9 years, that is stability. Ever since then, it was 2 years, 2 to 3 years at defensive coordinator.
Well, still when everybody's poaching your folks.
Right.
Still when everybody's himself after the Rose Bowl, he said, if you think anybody besides Nick Saban is the defensive coordinator, you're crazy.
Yeah, and that's what the problem was. And he even mentioned he started taking over the defense a little bit more than he wanted to. But at the same time, he had to because Kevin Steele was doing it. He got rid of Pete Golden left and went to Ole Miss. In theory, that was a push out. Pete Golden didn't end up being the guy that he was hoping he was going to be, and that's what happens. And so my point behind all of that is Saban bouncing, helping us out. Thank you, Nick Saban, for that. And Coop, thank you for pointing that part out. But one of the things to remember, and this is something I've seen a recurring comment in here, and I'm going to go with Mess here. This is the one that was pointed out. BB needs every effort and talent like Eugene Brooks to get into rotation in spring ball, which I get. Caden Green can earn freshman All-American. Eugene Brooks can. I love that. Everybody's in here concerned about Jackson Arnold being protected. Did y'all go see the class that we brought in of offensive linemen?
Nope.
I'm just curious if y'all actually, did y'all hear my rant? I literally had like a 10-minute rant earlier, right? I literally went all in about 45 minutes ago on this stream. And I purposely did that because I want y'all to understand. Go look at the dudes we brought in. The good thing for us is we have enough guys on the offensive line that have played or been in practice with us the last 2 years that we'll be fine at O-line and we'll be serviceable because Jackson Arnold can move. Jackson Arnold's pretty good and witty. He can go. The defense is probably going to carry us next season, which I'm happy that they will. 25, the O-line and the D-line will be shored up enough to where we should be easily in the top 5 at the initial rankings. This is the good part about that, and this is why I pointed that part out. Go look at that line we brought in. Eugene Brooks is one of those players that a lot of us is thinking he might play. The best D-line class since the Switzer days. Gerald McCoy was great when he came in, but he was by himself basically. Who else we didn't think? We're seeing a complete change of the new era of Sooner civilization.
Jay, they haven't had 4 top 100 defensive linemen like they have in the last 2 seasons in 15 years.
Yeah.
We're seeing a difference.
And I'll say that, with I checked my math on this one, but with Gerald McCoy, I think Jeremy Bill was the second most touted, and he ended up being kind of a linebacker / edge. So,
Right.
I mean, there you go. Like that. So these guys, I mean, Jaden Jackson, I knew when and if you guys do not remember,
What a stud, dude.
he was guaranteed to Texas. He
Yeah.
came in self-escorted by
Thank you,
David
Tony.
Stone. And then what did he do? Right there.
That's right.
So
Right.
this
You got two dudes that want to play with each other too. That's the best part about Jaden Jackson and David Stone together, dude.
Yeah.
They love playing next to each other because one will eat up the blocks and get the other one free, then the other one will do the same thing for the other. But then you start adding all the other people you have. You get your R. Mason Thomas, your PJ Adebaware, Danny Okoye. The defensive line, of course, is all great. The linebackers are getting more experience this year. Our secondary is our most experienced part of the team, which I'm very happy to see that. On the offensive line, I promise you, y'all may not know these dudes, just like y'all didn't really talk much about Jay Gibson as well as Nick Anderson, right? Going into this season and question about Andrew Anthony, if he was going to be any good or if Drake Stoops really is going to be that impactful in this team. Remember we were saying about all that about the wide receivers?
Yeah.
The offensive line is going to be just fine too. They've got the players that they want that's going to go in there and start causing problems. Now, are they going to be like a Joe Moore award-winning line? Too young for that. I think that it's going to take another year for us to get to that point. But I like the backups we have. I can't